Welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. I've got all this kith and kin food in the way here. And Jade, I almost said Jayde.
I know. Hey, whatever.
After we
works.
talked about it, didn't we? We just talked about it. Jade Burnell is the executive director of the Changing Lives Coalition. And, you know, Mondays, our food sponsor is Kith and Kin. And Tana picked up the Kith and Kin. And I have in these boxes, there's a sausage and egg sandwich, there's a bacon and egg sandwich, and there's a ham and egg sandwich. And these are really delicious gourmet breakfast sandwiches from Kith and Kin. And then there's some Kith and Kin coffee over here that's calling me. Nice. I hear it over here. And so you picked a good day to come in and be on.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You have your choice of sandwiches here. Earlier, I had the barking guy on, and I was asking him, there's supposed to be another James Bond movie coming out here pretty quick. The last one that Daniel Craig is going to be in. But there have been 6 actors who have played the part of James Bond over the years, starting with Sean Connery, and then George Lazenby, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, and then Daniel Craig. I don't know if you've watched any of the James Bond movies or if you're a James Bond movie fan, but do you have a favorite James Bond?
Not a big fan, but I do remember watching, some of the 007 movies with Pierce in them. And I had a neighbor growing up. Of course, I grew up in Hobbs, but Nintendo 64, he had a 007 game, and it was based off of that character. So
off the Pierce Brosnan.
I would go with that,
yeah.
being a 90s baby and
yep.
going in that era.
And he was the 95 to 02 is when he was the player of James Bond, and those were some interesting movies. I think of the Daniel Craig, I think the one that's my favorite of the ones that he did was Skyfall. But the opening sequence from Spectre is one of the most amazing feats of film portrayal. I do not know how they pulled off that sequencing in that opening sequence. It starts out during the Dios de los Muertos celebration in Mexico City. And a building gets blown up and a helicopter's flying over the crowd. And I mean, it's crazy stuff.
Technology's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. You mean they weren't really in a helicopter?
I mean, they might have been.
They really didn't blow up a building in Mexico City? I don't know. It is pretty amazing how all of that stuff is. Well, you didn't come here to talk about James Bond. Congratulations, first of all, being named the executive director.
Thank you.
You and Emily and Jeremiah all started about the same time last October?
Last October. We all started together as intervention specialists. Emily and Jeremiah are currently still intervention specialists. They were on last month on the radio.
Right.
So if you listened, you got to hear a little bit from them. Kind of have gone through starting a position at Changing Lives Coalition together. We all had never worked there before and had to get through. When we first started, we started a program that Changing Lives had never done before, which was our school support program for COVID. And so we worked through that, had a great time, with some kids, and were able to help a lot of kids with school. And then, the ever-changing world of COVID, we were constantly...
Are we going to have school? Are we not going to have school?
Yeah,
Are we going to be in school? All that.
We were working through all of the changes, but, I think all of us together did a great job. And I'm really excited to be in this new position and be at the helm, in a sense, of the organization and steer the way to help more youth in our community.
Sure. Now, I'm met you before because you were in coaching in the school system. So what is your background with working with youth?
Oh man, I feel like I've worked in so many capacities. So when I first moved to Artesia, I got a job as a educational assistant in a D-level classroom at YESO. And I did that for 2 years. And then I moved to the high school to do inclusion for math and science. And then I was at the kindergarten for a year. And then went on to Tate Branch. But in those 4 years that I was with the schools, I coached basketball and softball the first 2 years, basketball and track the third year, and then just basketball because I left in March of that year. I finished out basketball season and then moved on to Tate Branch and was there for a little over a year. And then this opportunity presented itself and was able to get me back working with kids again. So
Well, that's great. So as executive director, because you have that title now, this is
Right.
right there on your card, executive director. What do you get to do? What is your role now with the Changing Lives Coalition?
I feel like I get to do a lot. Really just, be a leader for the staff, first of all, and make sure that things are running well and make sure that our programs are doing well. And at some point, if something's not working, we discuss it and change it up and do what's best for the kids. A lot of administrative end stuff. So right now, we're currently looking for an intervention specialist to fill the position that I left for this position. And so conducting interviews, receiving resumes, trying to make sure that we get somebody in that spot that loves kids and is going to be great in that spot. Because, that's the heart of our organization is the kids that we work with.
Yeah.
So they're top priority. They're number one.
Well, and let's talk about that because COVID still messing up everything. And now schools are back open, kids are back in school. So talk about some of the programs that you want to get going again through the Changing Lives Coalition. I think you said your mentoring program starts this week?
Yes, so we do mentoring groups within the elementary schools, Zia and Artesia Junior High. Last year, the last 9 weeks, the kids went back to school, so we were actually able to get into some schools and do some mentoring groups. Huge shout out to principals and counselors for helping us make that happen. I think this year too, but last year especially, kids needed something.
Oh, yeah. Parents
so,
needed something.
Right. So the last 9 weeks, we were able to do some mentoring groups within the schools. We were able to run our after-school program on a smaller scale, but really excited to dive in this year with our after-school program is going to start October 4th. That's 6th through 9th grade. And we're really excited about it. We do tutoring. We feed them a meal. We do some career exploration. We work on some life skills, just, giving them some tools and teaching them skills that they can use later on in life and setting them up better in life. And then our mentoring groups, we have actually some groups at YESO starting tomorrow. So that's exciting. Emily and Jeremiah have been working pretty hard on building a lesson plan in a sense for our after school program, but also getting those groups together with the schools and get in there. So I'll get to do less of that, but still want to be as involved as I can be, because when you're in the seat to lead the organization, if you're not in it and you're not around those kids too, you won't do a very good job of doing that.
Meet the customers. Now, the after-school program, I'm going to date myself. There was a term back in the day called latchkey kids, which were basically kids of parents who worked, school let out, what do they do for an hour and a half, 2 hours until the parents come home? Right. Is that the primary focus for the after-school program, or are there other...
There's other factors that go into it. We look at kids who are struggling with school. We look at kids who are struggling socially, emotionally, mentally. We look at kids who come from a tough background, and just really try to focus in on them and give them a place to be and a place that's going to be positive and really a place that they can go to just be a kid. You know, a lot of kids now even have had to grow up very fast.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Whether it's, single mom working 2 jobs and they have to stay home and take care of their siblings, or whatever it may be. And so, of course, the older ones get a job to help support their family or whatever. And so this just gives them a place to come be a kid, but also learn skills that will carry them to their adult life.
There's always been challenges for kids and families. It's little different challenges now than maybe a few years ago with the social media pressures and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you mentioned a lot of the issues that can affect kids, and they can't be kids. You know, they've got all these other pressures. So it's great that you're there. Do people? Is there a limit to the number of kids you can have in the program?
So just because of building space.
COVID protocols?
Well,
to a certain degree.
Not as tough as they were when we were doing Project Hope, which was our school support program. But building space, still trying to be able to social distance some and make sure that we're being safe and doing our part. We're trying to get 15 kids in our after-school program for this year. Currently, we have about 5.
Okay.
We've received some referrals from Zia, and we recently just received some referrals from Park. And so Emily and Jeremiah are actually going to go to Park this afternoon and kind of chat with those kids that were referred a little bit and give them a little information on the program, and then we'll move forward from there, contact parents and set up some interviews. We have we do an interview process, so we bring the child in with their parent or guardian and kind of just talk to them a little bit and get a feel for the kid and where they come from. And so we're ready to get going. I know that it's been a long summer with we saw some kids with our summer meal program, but we're ready to get kids in the door and get into the schools and be able to do a full year of what our organization does.
Sure. Can you stick around for a little bit?
Yeah,
I need to take a break for news at the top of the hour. We're talking with Jade Burnell, Executive Director of the Changing Lives Coalition, and a few more things I want to ask you about to help people know and understand what it is that you're doing, and hopefully get some folks to help the organization, help you guys out. All right, this is KSVP RT.